Welcome to the broadcast, my dear fruits. It's been a hive of royal activity this week, so I wanted to look through some of the highlights with you and share a kiki. I've got a house guest staying with me at the moment, a house guest companion who at this very moment is tinkling the ivories in the background, which is a nice sound. They've been doing slow arpeggios, but it's distracting me while I'm talking to you. I've attempted to start this a couple of times and then I keep getting distracted by the sound. I don't think you'll be able to pick up the sounds on the camera, but if you do, that's what it is. It's someone at the pianoforte and I haven't got the heart to tell them to shut up. So, on with the show. First of all, I wanted to whinge about something, and that is the royal family website. I can see that they've gone over the royal website. We can't expect them to update everything as it happens. But they've gone through the website and changed wherever it says the Queen to the King, where it needs to be done. But I noticed in the blurb, well, first of all, I noticed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex still appear under the royal family central piece, the centrepiece of the royal family. They are still there, included. And in the blurb, it's been updated only just to say that they are balancing their time between the United Kingdom and North America. So that hasn't been updated, although they have been there and updated the fact that they are continuing to honour their duty to the King. So that's been changed from the Queen. The King, the Commonwealth, and their patronages. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Are we living in a parallel universe? To continue to honour their duty to the King? So we know that some Jobsworth has been in there and changed the wording from Queen to King, but they haven't been given permission to change the information. They are not balancing their time between the United Kingdom and North America, between the United Kingdom and Tyler Perry's house, which is really what it should have read, isn't it? This is years old stuff, and they are not continuing to honour their duty to the King or the late Queen. In fact, they trashed and dishonoured her memory and the memory of the Commonwealth in particular. In fact, they destroyed, temporarily one hopes, the legacy of the Commonwealth. Smashed it to smithereens, and their patronages, well, I believe they don't hold any royal patronages anymore. So why bother with all this sophistry? It's time to offload them from the website. Powers that be. I'm not blaming their majesties for this, or even some of the top courtiers. They've got other things to do, my dear, than worry about wording on royal websites. I think a lot of people don't quite understand this. Well, I do understand that. But whoever is at the helm of the royal website needs to get permission from whoever it is to just offload them. Offload them. They are not working members of the royal family anymore. They should not be appearing there. I'm sorry. They're the same as Beatrice and Eugenie, who I wish were on that list, actually. Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie. But they are not working members of the royal family, so they do not appear on that part, that core part of the website. And we should not have it from the Sussexes either. I'm sorry. Not sorry. And I notice as I'm looking at the core members of the royal family, there are 11 of them in total, if you take out the Harkles and also Andrew York. So why leave them on there? Remove Andrew, remove Harry and Meghan, and that would leave 11 members there. But it also shines a spotlight on how top-heavy they are with regards to age with members of the royal family, because excluding the 3 children from the Wales family, obviously we have 3 of them coming up, but we have no members of the working royal family in their spring season. We have 2 members in their summer, just 2 in their summer season, Catherine and William. Then we have 4 in the autumn season, and we have 5 in the winter season. But Charles and Anne are just about to come into winter. Especially Charles, he'll be moving into the winter season this year as he turns 75. So that, when Anne and Charles progress to winter, then we will have 0 in spring, 2 in summer, 2 in autumn, and 7 in the winter season. And I adore the winter season, and hey, there could be 17 in there for all I care, but there needs to be some balance throughout the seasons coming up. This is my complaint. Some balance. Come on now. So let's formalise the princesses. I really think this is so necessary. The two princesses, Beatrice and Eugenie, they will bring some summer gaiety to proceedings, and let's get Lady Lou involved. Lady Louise! And little Jimmy Seven. Yes, rope 'em in, ruin their lives for us. It's a big ask, I get it, but that would bring in two in their spring season. So we would have 2 spring, 2 summers. Zara and Peter, as wonderful as they are in so many ways, I think are too entrenched in their own lives and having fun in their own lives as well. I think it's too late to rope them in. That life was not for them, but it would be a shame to let these in the younger seasons pass by, so that those in the spring season, early spring, namely George, Charlotte and Louis, will have something to bolster them as they come up. You know, the king is very good at his long-term vision for monarchy, for all his legacies as the Prince of Wales. He's been wonderful at it, but he and William need to get it in gear, or their little ones will be going through the gigs in times to come. Anyway, speaking about Harry, one of the rumours doing the rounds this week is that he pitched another idea to Netflix and that one of the new Netflix offerings, this pitch was warmly received. It was a return to Africa. Harry wants to return to Africa. Of course he does. Yes, the Black Prince, the White Saviour, wants to return to Africa for a new Netflix documentary about his love of the continent, its people and its wildlife. Well, it's a lovely idea. I very much enjoy hearing about Africa in particular. So I'm not putting down the concept in general. What I am saying is that no one's going to watch it. I'm sorry, my dear. No one's going to watch it in the numbers that you need for a multi-mega million-dollar contract. Netflix understood this when they put together Harry and Meghan and brought in Lynn Garbage to make up some dramatic confection, and they did very well. And it became #1 documentary ever on Netflix, and a lot of people saw it, whatever you think. So, job done there. But do they really think that people are going to be watching this expedition to Africa in their hundreds of thousands of millions? Well, I very much doubt it, my dear, unless they find a way to bring in the drama. The drama, that is what's required. We have Heart of Invictus on the way, don't we? I wonder what they're going to do to get eyes on the prize there. I think that's this summer coming, isn't it? Heart of Invictus. I'm going to be watching eagle-eyed to see if they stay on the subject matter of Invictus on the games, or if other stories will be bubbling up in the press to bring some drama and royal family escapades into view to get the eyeballs and the bums on seats, because that's what it's all about. Netflix know this. They can't market that kind of thing and documentaries about Africa successfully without royal drama. But I'm very happy and would be intrigued to be proved wrong, and if it's all just drama-free and all the focus is on his good work and having a wonderful gay old time in Africa, I'll be very intrigued to see. And I'll bite my tongue. And just quickly with regards to Sue Hussey, Lady Susan, I flashed up a couple of photographs of her last week at Ascot, but she made a further appearance, and here she is. Style credentials in these new images in platinum and pearls, and I just wanted to show you because she looks so exquisite, doesn't she? She should be another official working member of the royal family, I think. Yes, I think she should be an honorary official member because she brings that much grace and poise and elegance. She really does. And she's more or less a victim or survivor of elder abuse as far as I'm concerned. And yes, I've still got the hump with William and Charles over that episode. I don't care what long game they might have been playing. No, I didn't like seeing her disparaged in that way in her winter season. No, I did not. She is a paragon of youthful springtime vitality, and she has a smile to thaw any frosty relations. Our dashing Duke of Kent made an appearance during a Drumhead service at St James's Palace, and the Lawn Scots dedicated the drums of their regiment by naming them the Duke of Kent Drums, in recognition of the Duke's commitment as their longest-serving Colonel-in-Chief. Now this is quite poignant, because the Drumhead service is a service where the regiment's drums are placed on top of each other, as you see, to form an altar, and this service dates all the way back to the 1700s, to the times when regiments and soldiers were lacking the means of transport to get them to church, so the regiment's padre would conduct services in fields with time for religious reflection, to remember fallen comrades, this sort of thing. So really rather touching and traditional. Prince William appeared to oversee some investitures, and one of the recipients of an honour was Grayson Perry, the artist who collected his knighthood as his female alter ego Claire. This was at Windsor Castle. Claire made her appearance, and he's the first person to receive a knighthood dressed as the opposite sex, although he did collect his CBE back in 2014 as Claire, and he once described Claire as a cross between Katie Boyle and Camilla Parker Bowles. And I think he looked rather good. I thought the gown was wonderful, rather flamboyant in a deep red, with a miniature straw boater. Of course, the makeup is hideous, but the whole thing is a sort of flamboyant, over-the-top, artistic expression, isn't it? And I'm all for that, no problem with that at all. As long as they dress up and make the effort for it, then I don't care what they wear, my dear. And it was a moving moment to see Kate Garraway collect her MBE in front of her husband, Derek Draper, who was the UK's longest-suffering COVID patient, and as those in the kingdom will know, he has been through a very tough time over a number of years now. But this creates a nice memory for him and the family. And more happy memories were created at the V&A Museum, in fact, the Young V&A, which was opened by the Princess of Wales this week. This museum has undergone a transformation over the past 3 years, from a museum of childhood to a world-leading museum of design and creativity dedicated to those aged 0 to 14. And in her role as patron of the V&A Museum, that's the Victoria and Albert Museum for those abroad, she was the perfect pretty princess in pastel pink. Isn't she an absolute joy? Surrounded by children who are full of cuddles, they adore their princess. She toured the new building and took in the sights from the 3 new galleries. Absolute perfection she is. And in Southampton, the day before, Southampton in Hampshire, she opened up another facility, a family-friendly residential centre, and she wore navy with polka dots. And the Hope Street Centre provides an alternative to prison for women. It allows them to remain with children and receive ongoing support. And these are women who have committed low-level crimes, sort of theft, antisocial behaviour offences, traffic offences, skipping fines, that sort of thing. Nothing too grave or serious, but it just gives them a more constructive opportunity to rebuild their lives. And actually, the whole thing was founded by Lady Edwina, who you see here in the pink. She is a family friend of the Waleses. In fact, her brother is the Duke of Westminster. He is Prince George's godfather, and he's also one of Britain's richest men. And Lady Edwina is a tireless prison reformer. She has been for many years, as well as a philanthropist. So this is one of her passion projects, and she was delighted to see Catherine. Of course, it was a huge week for Prince William, as I'm sure you will all have seen. He launched his Homewards project at last. Years in the making. This will define his life's work in his role as the Prince of Wales. This is a biggie, biggie, biggie. And he went on a 2-day tour of the kingdom, visiting charities all over the place, working to prevent homelessness in England, Scotland and Wales. This is his life's mission, to end homelessness. And it's launched alongside the Royal Foundation, receiving funding from them. And it's all inspired by a model in Finland, beginning as a 5-year commitment from the Prince of Wales and giving 6 flagship locations the space, tools and relationships to show what can be achieved by working together to end homelessness and making it rare, brief and unrepeated. That is the mission. So a grand undertaking from the Prince of Wales, a grand pledge, and all eyes will be fixed upon him to see what he does and if he can follow through with some real and realistic solutions. And he was spotted after he attended Ascot last week, letting his hair down, or perhaps that's the wrong expression, but you know, letting it all shake, at Koko in Camden. And that is a venue that I am extremely familiar with. It's a wonderful venue, actually, rather cosy, like a Red Theatre. I think it is an old theatre that's revamped as a venue, nightclub occasionally. I worked there, not for the venue, but for various DJs, resident and visiting, on the door with a little clipboard saying, you can come in, you can't, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I was proudly a door whore hosting various parties there. So I've had a lot of fun at Koko, and it was fun to see Prince William having a boogie, although it is always a little bit cringe, I think, to see posh boys in Exeter, because he was with Guy Pelly and he was with James Mead. It's always a bit cringe when the posh boys try to work it, especially in novelty glasses, I'm afraid, my dear. But I saw in Tatler magazine that his lookalike, Jonny Thompson, the King's Equerry, has made Tatler's Social Power Index. Tatler is the society magazine here in the kingdom, and this Social Power Index shows where the real power lies in British society. And at number 1, of course, are the King and Queen, the power and the glory and the gatekeepers of society. But yes, Jonny Thompson made the list as well, rather high up in the rankings. At Lancaster House, their Majesties joined the Animal Ball to celebrate 20 years of remarkable work by Elephant Family, which is a wildlife conservation charity committed to building landscapes that support coexistence between humans and wildlife. And interestingly, this was founded in 2003 by Camilla's brother, Mark Shand, the deeply attractive, charismatic man who was deeply passionate about protecting and supporting elephants and Asian wildlife. And this year's Animal Ball was a celebration of Indigenous communities in partnership with the British Asian Trust, and there were 2 awards, including the Mark Shand Award and also the Tara Award, which was named after his own elephant, and they were presented by the King and Queen there. And His Majesty founded the British Asian Trust in 2007 as a charity working to reduce poverty and disadvantages for communities in South Asia, looking at anti-trafficking, education, mental health and conservation. So, Harkles, you talk as if you are such radicals, as if this is all new under the sun. All this advocating that you do, the advocacy and looking for equity and all this word salad and nonsense on stilts. Well, it's all been done before, 1,000,000 times, by your father-in-law, Meghan. It's all been done 1,000,000 times by him, such as this work with the British Asian Trust, you know, going back. And this is just one tiny little jewel in a vast crown, as we are seeing, of his legacies and what he has been doing for people all over the world, Indigenous people, black people, white people, pink, green, yellow, blue people. He's been on it. But guess what? He just wasn't trumpeting it from the rooftops with a great big Montessorian fanfare, as you and hubby do, as if you are the first, or the reincarnation of Diana, continuing on her work, because nobody else is doing it, or looking at everybody else who's disadvantaged. That has been the former Prince of Wales, the King's life's work, Deirdre. That has been his life's work. I digress. But another part of his life's work, this is 30 years in the making, and another project that received a hella ridicule when it came along, and is now being lavished with praise for being ahead of its time, is Pundbury, the success of Pundbury, which was built on his land, the Duchy of Cornwall land, to his vision for architecture and urban planning. Initially, they ridiculed the idea, thought it was some sort of vanity project, saying that Prince Charles was creating his own form of Disneyland. Well, now it's a thriving, attractive community. It's a mixture of private housing and affordable housing, and people are clamouring to get in. He was there to see the positive impact that new public spaces have had on this local community. He received a warm welcome from the people of Pundbury, which is in Dorset. It's home to nearly 5,000 people. It provides employment for over 2,500 people in its 250 shops, cafes, offices and factories, and he took the community by surprise with an unannounced walkabout. There were even a group of people from the local spa who heard that he was in town and walking by, and they rushed out of the spa in their robes. Not quite as grand as coronation robes, are they, my dear? But they queued up for a handshake, and they got one, and they got a nice kiki and a nice natter with the king. They didn't have time to change, but the king didn't mind, and he unveiled a new bronze relief which marks the completion of the village's central hub, Queen Mother's Square. Nice bronze relief there, and they were photographed with the new bronze bust of Prince Philip too. And just as that decades-long plan and project comes to fruition, and it's not even at completion, even with 5,000 people living there, it's not completed officially until 2028. Well, even as that becomes fruitful and joyous, he plants another little seed, another little sapling on the way, in the form of the Astra Carta. The king welcomed astronauts, business leaders, environmentalists and scientists at a space sustainability event at Buckingham Palace. He unveiled the Astra Carta seal, and I love this seal. It captures my imagination, I've got to tell you. I think it's because it slightly reminds me of an Enya album cover. I don't know, it's got that look about it. But I thought it was wonderful, and it marks the launch of the Sustainable Markets Initiative's framework called Astra Carta. And in 2022, when he was the Prince of Wales, he announced an ambition for this framework to inspire sustainability across the space industry and at the core of space activity. And if you're wondering what Sir Brian May is doing there, Brian May from Queen, he is an astrophysicist as well, so he was there in that capacity. And I've got to tell you that I've always admired and appreciated what the royal family do, but as I come to you doing these broadcasts and see exactly how many of these projects are initiated and how many come to life, it only makes me more proud to be pro-monarchy and to be absolutely unapologetic about it, because just one of them, disregarding all the amazing work that William and Catherine and many others are doing, just one of them, just Charles in his lifetime, the hundreds and thousands of projects and people, millions of people that he's helped, is just mind-boggling, really. Who else does that much? Who else? Yes, they have a lot of privilege and power, but they use it, don't they? They use every drop of it they can to make a difference, whether it is encouraging people or places or architecture or animals or hedgerows. It really is from the mighty to the minuscule that are on their mind from morning till night, from dusk to dawn, working on our behalf as our servants. So I make no apology for sticking up for them as I've done over the past couple of years. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. And we shall end on Princess Beatrice's clothes, because it's a tradition, isn't it, to remark on what the Yorkie girls have been wearing. And she's been wearing some wonderful things. By the way, when I showed you photographs of Beatrice at Ascot last week, I didn't really go into how much I adored that floral gown that she was wearing. That white lace floral applique, jewel neckline, detached slip with white hat by Monique L'Huillier, and pink satin pumps she wore. I thought it was a rave. It was actually my favourite gown. Yes, it was. I loved it. I think it was beautiful. The colour palette, gorgeous. When she gets it together, she can do really well. And in Huddersfield, she hosted a launch for her patronage Forget-Me-Not Children's Hospice. And she's been patron of that hospice since 2012. And I loved the look from the neck down. I loved the yellow stripes of this Jasper Conran number. It's called the Blythe, this shirt dress. And she was blithe. Bonny, blithe, good and gay. And the ballet slippers were tan, dipped in black. But her hair was a mess. Her hair was a haystack, my dear. She'd been rolling about. Mind you, she's had a lot on her mind. Her mother's been poorly, so it's very understandable that she's been distracted. And she can't look on point at every moment, but awful hair. Awful hair. But then she did very well last night because she was trotting around Mayfair. Was it Lulu's? No, not Lulu's this time. It was Marks of Mayfair, yes, with Edo and she was wearing a flamboyant blouse made by Vampire's Wife. The Vampire's Wife, that's Nick Cave's spouse, isn't it? That designs those clothes. She designs for Catherine and lots of celebrities. Well, this one, Beatrice got her hands on it with aquazura heels, and I thought it was rather fabulous and rather fantastical, and I heartily approve, and the hair was better as well, and they make quite a glamorous duo, and that's another reason to get them on board. Get them on the good ship Lollipop, my dear. Oh no, that's something else. Get them into the royal family, the colonel of the royal family, and restore the good name of York. Thank you for joining me, my dears. I appreciate your company. What do you think of the frock? This is another from the charity shop. Most of what you've seen lately have been these random gowns that I'm picking up from local charity shops because I'm just looking for things that are so light to wear. I can't be dripping in too many jewels. It's hot. You don't need to suggest getting air conditioning. I get so many comments. Get air conditioning when I complain about the heat. It's just not the way for many of us in the kingdom. We don't require it all year round. I have fans when I'm not recording, and I don't like air conditioning. An open window does the job. I don't like air conditioning on the throat, the lungs, or the atmosphere. There are some moments, of course, when it would be nice to switch it on and have a fridge-like state, but for the most part, an open window is just fine. But yes, I'm wearing these loose affairs, these frocks. Some of them aren't always going to be the best fitting because I just snatch them off the rack, and I don't try anything on from second hand or charity stores because you don't know what condition it's in, so I have to get them home and wash them and then try them on. But it does the job, doesn't it? It adds a little amuse-bouche, a little flavour to the broadcast. So I'm going to go and skip in the daisies now in my frock. Thank you for joining me today, my dears. I appreciate your company. That's it from me. Actually, that's it for June, isn't it? June done. That's 1 out of 3 that I've survived the summer months before we get to beautiful September. Heavenly sweet September on the way. But I've got through June. Yes! And I will try and get through July and August and spend some time with you as well, my dears. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for joining me. Leave me a nice, juicy comment, and my tip jar, for those that ask, is in the description box. And I thank you most sincerely. I'll catch up with you next time. Have a beautiful weekend, and toodle pip.